Hello, hi. My name is Angelo Lopez. I am a Filipino American political cartoonist based in the San Francisco Bay Area, and I have the honor and pleasure today to speak to a fellow California political cartoonist based in San Diego, Joaquin Junco Jr. Now, Joaquin has been a cartoonist for El Coyote Crossing Borders and the
Mhm.
San Diego Free Press. His cartoons have also been published in El Coyote Online, La Prensa News, and the Southwest College Sun. One of your cartoons has won an award from the San Diego chapter of the Society of Professional Journalists, and Joaquin just finished a run as an intern for the cartoonist Lalo Alcaraz and stuff.
Okay.
So thank you very much to speaking to a fellow California cartoonist.
No, thank you, Angela. It's a great opportunity, and I'm very happy for it.
Oh, sure. Thank you. I'm happy. I'm happy to have the opportunity to talk to you too. It's weird because we met online a long time ago, but this is only the second time we've actually talked, right?
That's true.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, but yeah, but you're a great cartoonist and stuff. So
Thank you. Likewise.
yeah, thank you. But I guess I can start out just by asking, who are your cartoonist heroes and heroines? How have they influenced you?
Yeah. So I think the my earliest hero that I can remember. I mean, I've always been a fan of animation, comic books, comic strips, but it I didn't as a kid I didn't really pay attention to the names. I just wanted to see the drawings. But
Yeah.
the first time I really paid attention to an author was I was given a compilation of this comic strip from the 70s, Los Agachados, and it was illustrated and written by the Mexican cartoonist Eduardo del Rio, also known as Rius.
Uh-huh.
And it was I it was a gift. So I can acknowledge that normally if I'd gone to the bookstore, I would have never really paid attention to his comic strips. They're not superheroes, and he doesn't draw superheroes. He doesn't draw any fantasy type stuff. It was always a political comic strip, humoristic political comic strip. Every issue featured a subject on current issues. So the first one that I read from Rios was is this is like 70s, 60s. So the it was covering the subject of the hippies
Uh,
and making an expose on what the hippies were about. So while I had an idea about who the hippies were, I didn't know how they started or any of the historical context of the time. So it was a way for me to learn about history. I've
yeah.
always liked history, but I was amazed by how Rios, just with a couple of drawings and jokes, he made his learning history fun,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
that's what caught me right away. Like, wow, I'm this is hilarious, but I'm also learning so much,
yeah.
and so he wasn't, and he wasn't. Maybe people will say, well, there are much better artists than Rios, but what really caught me was more of his content and the art style, and just learning about politics as well. That's also what caught the attention of Rius, and from then on, I wanted to learn more and more about what he was about, what his insights were into different topics. At the time, I was not only getting into politics, but I was also getting more involved into vegetarianism, which Rius also drew many books about that
Oh,
subject.
okay.
And so he was my first hero when it came to comic strips. Then, and this was it happened around the same time. So this was around I was in ninth, eighth grade, And me and my family just moved into the United States. We've been living in Mexico for a while, but then coming in here, I became self-aware about my identity. While in Mexico, no, being Mexican
Yeah.
is not something that really stands out. But in the United States, and like, wow, I look a certain way. My my first language is Spanish, and it just became much more self-aware. But going through the Sunday newspaper, I and reading the comic strips, I remember how Lalo Alcaraz and La Cucaracha stood out to me at
Yeah.
the time. Like, this is so cool. There's a name in these comic strips that sounds like Mexican or sounds Latino, and he's also drawing comic strips. Like, that's so cool. But and well, at first, Lalo Caras um, didn't make an impression. It was a slow burn because the
Mm,
more aware I became about my identity as a Chicano, the more I started to pay attention to Lalo's work. How it wasn't just about current events, the news, but it was from a Chicano perspective.
yeah.
And I was like, and so not it wasn't just different, but it was also relatable.
Yeah.
And actually, I have it here. Is just like Ryu's, his one of the first books I got from the library was Latino USA,
Oh, okay.
and just like Ryu's, Lalo and Ilan Stavans, who wrote the book, they also made learning about history fun, and it
Yeah.
wasn't just it's not just history, but it's history from a Latino perspective.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I envy you in a way because I never learned about Filipino American cartoonists and stuff
Mm,
until way later in life. I would have loved to have learned that when I was a kid and stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, but I'm glad you go to the library because I used to, for 28 years, I worked in a library and stuff. And so I highly recommend to anybody who wants to be a cartoonist, go to the library.
Wow.
Oh, that's cool. So, okay.
Yeah.
So I'm curious then, um, how do you do your cartoons?
So for the longest time, it was a pen and paper, and and when I was going to college, that's that was the standard for me. Just a pen and paper, just a couple of basic Photoshop techniques, just to fix fix the with the inking process. But yeah, that was it. And while on the bus on my way to schools, just drafting out the comic strips, and when I got to school, that's when I inked it, and that was for me that was very satisfying for me. It was sort of a struggle to get used to doing digital illustration. It took it's just very frustrating. I didn't want to learn it. I just thought, man, well, why am I struggling with this so much? I don't want to keep doing this. So just give me pen, paper,
Yeah,
and I
yeah,
got this. But it was it made things a lot easier. That's what I've always told any young cartoonists that I've met later on. Like, please learn as much as you can about different about digital illustration. I promise you, it's going to make things a lot more efficient.
uh,
And there's been a few times where I couldn't turn in a cartoon digitally for different reasons. So it was like returning to form when I had to use like pen and paper again.
yeah.
But I was also aware, like, wow, this I just connect it to my laptop and I draw something, or I use the iPad, draw something, email it, and I'm done. And
Yeah, I'm not, you're farther ahead than me. I'm partial. I
I,
partially do pen and ink on paper,
yeah,
and then I partially go to Photoshop. What computer program are you using? Are you using Procreate or using Photoshop or
I'm not using. I haven't had much progress with Procreate. Actually, my wife has started using Procreate, and she is so good at it.
Okay.
But for myself, I'm using Adobe Photoshop.
Yeah.
Also using is it, I don't know if it Wacom or Wacom tablet,
Oh, okay. Okay.
the Cintiq. So I have to draw straight onto the screen, and yeah, that's just a Wacom tablet and Photoshop.
Oh,
Sometimes I use Adobe Illustrator for certain things, but it's mostly Photoshop.
okay. Yeah. Yeah. I do Photoshop, but it's mostly to clean up. Or if I want to
Yeah,
do some like stuff in the background and stuff. I've never
yeah,
tried Welcome. Is that what you call it? Welcome?
yeah.
Okay, yeah, I've never tried it, but I know a few people who've tried it. I'm always amazed at what they do and stuff, but um, I don't know why I'm afraid of using it and stuff, but I'm kind of afraid and stuff.
Mm.
You find it easy or?
It's right now. I'm just so used to it, but I can remember how much I struggled with it. Just having to come up with different layers and layers, and then forgetting that I had to draw on a certain layer, and I was drawing in the wrong one. But then I reached the point where I just couldn't retrace my steps, and I had to start all over again.
Yeah, yeah, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So it's definitely gotten easier with use, but it takes a while to get the hang of it.
Oh, okay, okay. Maybe someday I'll try it and stuff, but yeah.
Yeah,
It did it take you a long time to master it or?
maybe like mm, 3 years. Three
Oh,
years.
wow.
So when I got my first tablet, it was just me by myself practicing, and it was I was frustrated with my lack of progress, but I got the hang of it enough that by the time I took a digital illustration course in college, I it was coming out pretty easy. Like, hey,
Oh.
this is so easy. Why was I struggling so much with it?
Okay, maybe I should take a class and stuff, but okay. And I'm curious. For you for several years, you did editorial cartoons for the San Diego Free Press, right? I have
Yes.
a two-part question. How did
Mhm.
you get into editorial cartoons? And the second part, why is a community newspaper like the San Diego Free Press important?
Right. So when I started with editorial cartoons, I I was after high school. I was really trying to look into any field where I could have easier access into just being able to draw.
Yeah.
Animation, was the goal at the time, but I thought or one place I could start would be in a newspaper. So I became involved with journalism in college
Yeah.
by and when I started, the there were no cartoonists. So
Uh,
it was pretty easy for me to just come in and say like, hey, I want to draw the editorial cartoons or comic strips, whatever you got. And it was always, yeah, sure, go ahead, it's yours.
uh,
And it wasn't just about drawing, but also about learning how to collaborate with because it was the I was drawing for the opinions section of the newspaper, so it was learning how to collaborate with the writers,
yeah.
strategizing which would be the best way for me to illustrate their stories, and what kind of impact was it that I we wanted to uh, come with together, come up with together. That's one of the maybe it's something that artists are also should be able to learn how to collaborate with people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Es- Especially being the good side of the editor.
yeah, yeah. Editorial cartooning it was great. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of hard work too. We had to be on call all the time. If the editors wanted to change the story, that sometimes would mean that the cartoon had to be changed. But I enjoyed every minute of it too. And from there, um, just the and from college, the newspaper got around outside of college, and I was contacted by people in the Body Logan community, which is where the San Diego Free Press had one of the places where the San Diego Free Press had covered. And then from there, the members would ask me, hey, if you want to keep drawing editorial cartoons, how about you work for the San Diego Free Press as well? And I said,
Yeah.
yes, of course.
Yeah.
And it was because I was already familiar with the process of working with writers in college. Being in the San Diego Free Press it was it was not a hard transition at all.
Oh, okay.
It was pretty easy, and I was there for a couple of years. Then, while I was still drawing for the San Diego Free Press, that's when I moved out to San Bernardino, California, to attend Cal State San Bernardino. And
Oh, okay.
even while I was there, I was still uh, working here in San Diego. And just like I said, I got into digital illustration and was able to email my cartoons.
Yeah. That probably
And
made things a lot easier.
right, yeah, very easy. But so your other question, community newspapers are very important. I It's about keeping the news local, about being being part of the community and being able to have the people's trust. A lot of the people that I worked with in the San Diego Free Press, they were involved in uh, different aspects of the local community in Barrio Logan. So while they had, it wasn't just about building trust through the newspaper, but they had also acquired trust by working within the community,
Yeah.
therefore ensuring a more authentic voice to what the community needed and what the community thought, and getting that across to other places outside of the local communities within San Diego.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's the objective of a lot of the small papers in anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. I used to work in the Philippine News Today in Northern
Yeah.
California, and they were
Mhm.
giving news about the Filipino American community that nobody else was covering and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's I'm a big fan of the community. I worry about it dying though and stuff, but
Yeah.
I hope it doesn't because it's very important and stuff. So yeah,
Mm.
but I'm curious.
Yes.
You've stated that you want your cartoons to represent the Chicano community.
Yes.
I have another two-part question. I'm sorry. Okay, the first part, what is the responsibility of a Chicano cartoonist? And the second part, what is the difference between a cartoonist who focuses on a specific community, in your case, the Chicano community, or in my case, the Filipino American community? What's the difference between that and a cartoonist who focuses just more mainstream issues?
Right. So I think the responsibility for a Chicano cartoonist, in my opinion, it would be just to keep it authentic.
Mhm.
Uh, like I don't know if it's me anymore, but the first time I've noticed becoming self-aware about being a Chicano in the United States, just becoming self-aware not just about myself, it was also becoming aware of how Chicanos, Latinos, Mexicans were represented in the media, in film and newspapers and television, and just feeling like it was not as it's not as authentic. It's exaggerated, stereotyped, and how about we? And that was not being fully able to relate. That's how I felt. And
Yeah,
so when I started illustrating, I told myself I want to make sure that I am being as authentic as possible, it not about showing what everyone else expects Latinos, Chicanos to be, but how I've experienced it and how I want other people to see this is where I'm coming from.
yeah,
Um, I didn't grow up in a tough barrio. I didn't grow up with surrounded by cholos or
yeah,
the kind of image that some people might have that everything Chicano has to look like something from '80s movie. It takes place in East Los Angeles.
Yeah.
No, no disrespect to Los Angeles at all,
Yeah.
but so that wasn't exactly my experience. I think you might have seen that a lot of my artwork has to do with or some of my art has to do um, with the punk rock community,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
sometimes is not seen as the most authentic Chicano experience, but that's where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to show. Uh, let's see. So that's one of the things. Just keep it authentic. If we didn't grow up in the barrio, we don't have to represent the Chicano community as always being from the barrio, um, or wearing like those oversized baggy clothing, or saying "Hola ese," or the Taco Bell Chihuahua. Nothing like that.
Yeah.
Just keeping it a lot more, keeping
Yeah.
it real. That's
Yeah.
the
I think it's just that you're representing your lived you only know your lived experience, right? And
right,
stuff. And you can't, if you try to feed into a stereotype, it's not authentic anymore because you didn't really live it, right?
right. I mean, sometimes stereotypes can serve a purpose, just to like set something up, uh, and then just subvert the expectations.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, people might expect, oh, Chicano cartoon has to be like very choloed out, but then like, oh, surprise, it isn't.
Yeah.
Something like that. Or for let's see, I'm not. I hope I'm not calling anybody out, but like for people that didn't get to experience that kind of Chicano experience and then trying to fake it, that yeah, that's I'm not with that,
Yeah.
and that's not what I want for the Latino community.
Yeah. 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 I have a similar thing because I'm a Filipino American, but
Mm.
I was raised in Navy bases
Yeah,
and stuff. And so I have a very different experience than some Filipino Americans who came from the Philippines. I've only
right,
been in the Philippines 1 month my entire life, so I can't. You know, I would I would feel fake if I tried to pretend
yeah,
to represent an experience I never lived. Right?
right.
Yeah.
And oh, actually, I just remembered too. That's like if I could bring up the movie Coco.
Uh,
It's I remember when I've always had my doubts about it. I'm very I just get that reaction anytime I hear about an animated movie that takes place in Mexico, or it's supposed to cover uh, like aspects of Mexican culture. I tense up. I'm like, oh man, they're gonna mess it up. They're gonna come up with something stereotypical. They're gonna bring out the luchadores. They're gonna bring up the Aztecs, something really spicy, visual gag with a sombrero. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. But uh,
I didn't see the
so
movie, so I don't know.
oh my god, you gotta watch it.
Oh,
But it's I feel like for me, Coco was one of those movies that does manage to capture a more authentic Mexican voice, or
oh, okay.
it's like I've seen documentaries about the behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Uh, by then, me and Lalo were already working together. He didn't tell me anything about how the movie was made. It was just mostly it was after the movie came out. Then he opened up a little bit and about his work as a cultural consultant.
Oh,
So
okay.
it was just a lot of from what he told me, it was a lot of Disney showing ideas to the cultural consultants, and they would get to decide like, yes, this is good, or no, this is good. Let's come up with something else.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, being able to, that's what I mean about, because it's not just about capturing, for me, it's not just about capturing the authentic Chicano experience, but also about making the effort to, if we're making a product that's supposed to reflect the Mexican culture, also really, really make it authentic.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes stereotypes can be fun, but it, Mexican audiences, saw the movie and they agreed that it was good.
Oh,
Maybe at this point we could also transition to cover other Mexican holidays besides Dia de los Muertos,
yeah,
but it's a very meaningful holiday, and it's not just about like painting skulls or trying to make it come across as the Latino Halloween, because it isn't, but that the whole point about Dia de los Muertos, Day of the Dead, is to celebrate the life of people
yeah,
that are not here with us anymore.
yeah, yeah,
So yes, I feel like as feel that's also my other responsibility, not just as a Chicano cartoonist, but somebody that uh, grew up in Mexico and still has a lot of connections to Mexico, to make sure that the Mexican experience is also authentically represented.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. I'm guessing with one of the, if you're white, you don't, it's just assumed that it's diverse and
Yeah,
stuff, Whereas, with I guess Mexican culture or Filipino, the same thing is that, you know, if we're stuck in a stereotype and stuff, it's hard to get out and stuff.
right,
The stereotype doesn't necessarily reflect us and stuff. So yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. So, okay. I'm curious. Yeah, we have
Yes.
10 minutes for this first meeting.
I,
So
I,
let me ask you the last question. Are you finished with
yes.
this question or?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So the next question I'm curious about is just what are issues facing the San Diego Chicano community right
Mm, let's see. I gotta admit, as of lately, I've made for the last for the last this year, I've been a little more disassociated from the what's going on within the community.
now?
I don't want to show, but it's just being a dad has taken primary taken
Oh,
my most attention.
are you getting sleep?
Uh, Sometimes, yes.
Yeah, yeah. One of the things I've learned is that for for my brothers and sisters and my friends and stuff, I think the first year it's they most new parents are sleep deprived. That's the only
Yeah,
reason I'm asking.
I thought that I was already too dependent on coffee. I had no idea. I had no idea what was going to happen. It's like, wow, I guess I have to rely
It's
on coffee a lot more.
okay, okay, but it's a wonderful experience, though, right? I mean, being a
Oh,
parent.
absolutely. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. How old is your kid?
She's 10 months.
10 months. Oh, okay. Is she still waking up at night, or is her sleep patterns
Yeah,
getting better?
it's getting a little better, but um, maybe like 2, 3 times she's waking up at night. And the more she grows, the more I hear that, oh, well, uh, it's I mean, it's mostly my wife that is she's aware of the milestones that happen every month. So it's like every month I would get to hear like, oh, she's reaching this milestone.
Oh,
So that means that there's going to be a sleep regression. And I'm just thinking to myself, when is there ever not a sleep regression? Like, how about I hear that, oh, well, by the time she reaches this milestone, her sleep pattern is going to get better. No, none of
I'm
that.
sorry, I'm laughing.
No, it's okay.
No, but you're not the only one. I've heard this. My wife and I don't have kids, but we have 10 nieces and we have a
Oh,
nephew and stuff.
oh,
And so we've heard this story a lot and stuff.
right.
The funny thing, if you look at pictures of a young couple before they have kids, they still look young. They don't have any lines on their face. That ends once you get a kid. You start
Well,
getting baggy eyes.
I work in a school too, so I think the process for me is gonna go a lot faster.
Oh, it is. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. But so before like your kid, what were issues that were important to you though? I mean, that you wanted to maybe that your cartoons focused on. Was it like
Mhm.
I don't know what.
Would be to make sure to remind people to go out and vote. I know that San Diego being a border city, immigration has always been a very a hot topic.
Yeah.
So, but also it's also one of the topics that I've seen is also voter um, conformity and just what was the word I'm looking for? Indifference to voting.
Oh, like apathy,
Uh,
voter
for young
apathy.
people trying
Yeah.
to apathy, yes, trying to make sure that young people are not apathetic about voting, about having their voices heard. A lot of times it's just the idea that our voices or vote doesn't really matter because there are so many other people voting. So it's what we have to say. It just gets drowned. But if we could not be apathetic, especially when it comes to local elections, it it would ensure that our voices get heard and we can ensure that people get what they want if they do go out and vote.
Yeah. 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 Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah. So, yeah, yeah, yeah. If you it's that's an important thing because certain the only people that get listened to are the people who vote,
Yeah.
right, and stuff. And so politicians can easily ignore the needs of people who, like in the Philippine community, it's important to vote because a lot of the marginalized people in the Philippine community, the Filipino American community, they have some important needs that are being ignored and stuff. And if they don't vote, those, a politician doesn't can pretty much ignore somebody who doesn't vote for them, right?
Yeah.
And stuff. So yeah, so like yeah, I don't know what to say.
Mhm.
Yeah, so
Environmentalism too. It's one of the local something that affects the local community. There's a river by my community that does it's like a lot of the it's a lot of the sewers like just they open up they release their waste into that river and
oh,
right now it's been okay, but there's been a couple of times a year where at night the smell it spreads out through my neighborhood.
oh wow, wow.
Yeah, so environmentalism it's also something that is very very dear to me.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I hope it gets better and stuff.
That's that's the thing too is that sometimes it's more in the impoverished or uh, minority dominated communities that there's also environmental issues. Barrio Logan being one of those communities that has the highest rates of children with asthma, and
Oh,
shipyards happen to be located right next to Barrio Logan.
oh, okay. Okay. I'm not sure where it is, but my dad used to be in the Navy. Is it near the Navy
Yeah,
shipyards?
it's
Is that what you're
right
saying?
there in the San Diego Bay, so it's close to Coronado Island,
Oh,
where
okay.
they have the Navy base.
Yeah. As a former Navy brat, I apologize for the Navy for you and stuff. So, okay. You mentioned how you were influenced by punk rock.
Yes.
I've noticed that several Hispanic artists have been influenced by punk music. The fine artist Camille Rose Garcia,
Hmm.
the creators of Love and Rockets,
Yeah.
the Hernandez brothers, and
Yeah.
you've been influenced. Now, how has punk rock influenced your political cartoons?
So punk rock is the the philosophy behind it is just to do and say as you will, and so the idea of not holding back the punches, just
Oh,
say it out loud for everybody to hear, and say it how you want it to sound.
mhm.
That's that's been one of the core elements of punk rock that's influenced me as an artist. It's um I try to be nice. I try to be fair when covering political events, but there's just been a couple of times where uh I just felt too impassionate and say like, man, I want to make fun of somebody and I will do it and I'm not gonna hold back the punches.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Is there when you say punk rock or punk music? When I think I'm an old guy, and I think of the Sex Pistols, the Clash. Are
Yeah.
you thinking of '90s punk and stuff, or
Um, yeah, that's and one of the bands that I followed the most when I got into punk, the Casualties. They're kind of the more stereotypical punk rock bands, as in they all got the leather jackets, the patches, the sewing, the colorful mohawks, and so they definitely stand out from the crowd. And that's how I always want to use my art. I wanted to stand out from the crowd.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And
Yeah,
there's a strong edge to it, right?
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Your stuff has an edge and stuff. It's and that's I say that in a positive way. There's a real subversiveness about just from the style of your cartoons. I like
Yeah.
that edge. Hey, your dad has edge in his cartoons.
He's gonna have it too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You know what? I actually is social distortion. There are they punk?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I went
There
to
are aspects of different other genres, but yeah, you could consider them punk.
Okay, yeah, because I went to their concert once by accident in the '90s and stuff, and
Wow.
but the thing was, everybody was very. It was in the San Francisco and the war in I think the Warfield and stuff.
Yeah.
And I went with a friend and stuff. We bought the tickets not knowing what kind of music they played.
Yeah.
I think I just went just to tag along and stuff. I liked them, and everybody was nice, but everybody kept asking me, "Are you sure you're in the right concert? Shouldn't you be in a should you be in a Harry Connick Jr. concert or something?" So I was kind of a nerd back then and stuff. But
Yeah. Yeah. It's one of the first things I was told going to my first punk rock show was like, hey, you gotta look the parts, but and I mean the looks and all that, it's not really as important. It's shouldn't that be that big of a deal.
oh, okay, okay. Have you actually been to a lot of concerts and stuff, or was the community part of the helpful for your political conscious? Are a lot of punk bands political, or because I know the Clash are, but I don't know if many other bands are.
I let's see. I want to. Part of me wants to say yes. I know some of the bands are political. The Dead Kennedys. They're a very very political band. Um, but the all the shows I've been to, I hardly remember much of any like political discussion taking place
Oh, okay.
before, during, or after the show. It's just more of a way for people to decompress, express themselves, and just be just to be all everybody just be a part of something.
Oh,
One thing that I would tell that I've noticed communicating with people in real life and online is that my local punk rock scene is it's a very Chicano,
oh, okay.
just Chicano, but also minority heavy. You see, it's very diverse, and what I've noticed that a lot of people don't have that experience when they talk about attending punk rock shows.
Oh,
Um, and it was also we would also attend punk rock shows in Tijuana, in San Diego. Sometimes you'd see more of the same people crossing the borders. You would have bands playing different, singing in different languages. So I feel really fortunate to say that my community, my punk rock community, was and probably is still very diverse.
oh, okay. Is it still thriving right now, or?
I I think so. It's not just being a dad, but also I feel like with age, I'm in my early 30s, so I feel that right now that's it came about a long before I became a dad too, that I just felt like, man, maybe going to punk rock shows is not my thing anymore. Yeah.
There's always nostalgia tours, right?
Oh yeah. There is
Yeah, yeah.
you-
I like, I don't know. I have to admit, I don't know too much about punk rock except the Clash and stuff.
yeah.
But
Oh,
I
Clash was
was,
good though.
Yeah, I like the Clash, but I was influenced by the people. I listened, but I was kind of a nerdy Beatles fan, but in the 80s, there were a lot of good music from bands that were influenced by punk rock.
Yeah,
Like the Specials, the English beat, the ska bands and stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, so but oh, okay. So okay. You served as an intern to Lalo Alcaraz. He's a great cartoonist who did the comic strip La Cucaracha. What was that experience like? What did you
Um,
learn from Lalo?
just want to start by saying it's today. This year is the 21st anniversary of La Cucaracha.
Oh, okay, okay, yeah, yeah,
Even saying that out loud, it makes me feel old.
yeah. It only gets worse when you hit your 50s. I'm in my 50s right now, and there's
Yeah.
all these anniversaries, and I keep thinking, oh, Beverly Hills Cop is like 40 years old. What? Yeah, yeah. So, I'm sorry you feel old.
Well, I mean, I'm in my early 30s, so maybe I don't with you, I don't get to say that just yet.
Oh no,
But
no, you can say that if you want.
all
That's
right.
okay. Yeah,
Okay. So like I mentioned, Lalo was one of those cartoonists that really inspired me to
yeah.
work on my craft. So it was how it came about that I got working with Lalo is that it was just a couple of months after I graduated from college,
Uh,
and we had already met up, being part of uh, not the San Diego Comic Con, but it's the San Diego Comic Fest.
oh, okay.
Getting to work with some of the same artists in Barrio Logan,
Yeah,
and he had just told me like, hey, how about we keep in touch? And then next thing I know, he's actually recommending me to send some of my art to art shows in Los Angeles.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So we had already built that um, uh, a working relationship. So after I graduated college, he's asked me like, hey, I might need some help with my comic strip because I'm working on different projects. Would you be interested in it? And I said yes.
yeah.
Working for my hero it
Was it
was
a dream come true, kind of?
I had never really dreamt about working with him,
Oh,
but
oh,
it
okay,
was
okay.
the dream I didn't know that I had, and now it was living it. But of course, it came with a lot of hard work. Um, I think before I started working with him, I would only make comic strips like twice a week, but for him, it's a daily comic strip. So from Monday to Sunday, I have to come up with something,
Yeah,
and it wasn't just about coming up with something. Like if uh my previously I just had to spend like a day coming up with an idea, and then on the same day I draw it. This time I had to pace myself, take 1 or 2 days from the week to write all the ideas, and then the rest of the week was just sitting down and drawing.
yeah,
And I wasn't it was just inking the drawing, so I didn't have to color. That would have taken up a lot more time. So just the amount of work I was putting in, it skyrocketed, but it was good work. When I started, was the more difficult thing for me was actually to write my ideas down, not just like, oh, maybe I start with one vague idea and then elaborate from there. Like I had to have everything on point. Uh, it had to be more structured. And deadlines were hard deadlines this time. Uh, my own experience as an artist and working with artists, sometimes we just have to wait until inspiration kicks in. Now I had to work hard to get inspiration.
yeah.
So yeah,
Did did it
uh,
help with your craft though? I mean,
oh yes,
the
absolutely.
discipline really helped you and stuff.
Yes, most definitely it did.
Oh, okay.
So, and
Yeah,
then there were days that, because I started relying more on the news just to know what to cover. The comic strip is made like with 2 weeks in advance, so I had to be careful with if I chose to cover the news, what kind of news would still be relevant 2 weeks after the comic strips were turned in.
Yeah, yeah,
So yeah, sometimes it was even if politics were a hot topic, just because I wanted to feel more at ease with the stuff I turned in, I would say, maybe this week we don't cover politics, maybe just make it something uh, more relatable to Latino families, something that's still going to be timeless.
yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
sorry.
hi. How are you, ma'am?
Hi, hi.
Hi.
I don't
Thank
want
you for introducing Sophia for our interview. Hi.
welcome. It's
Eh,
nap time.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. So the basic grind and stuff. Is Sundays harder to do than this because the Sundays is
Hmm.
is it harder to do than the Monday through third Saturday?
Yes and no. It's if I wanted to, I could on it could only be just a one illustration instead of having sequential drawings presenting a whole story, or
Oh,
I could make it less dialogue heavy and just more have it focused on the visuals,
oh,
just
okay.
make it one visual gag. But so that would make it a little easier. The thing that would make it harder is just that if for 1 week I decided to have a series of comic strips that was more self-contained, more focused on one topic. All of a sudden, by the time I reached the Sunday, I just thought, oh, well, I'm drawing a blank right now because I put all my thought, effort, and creativity into this series, and now I'm starting with something that is going to be totally different, and I don't know what I'm going to do about it. So I am also going to need some time to come up with something.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Did it help? I'm curious.
Yes.
Whenever I've tried to do multi-panel cartoons, I really struggle with dialogue.
Mhm.
Did your dialogue improve just by constantly doing that and stuff, or
I would think dialogue was not something that I was like too concerned about. I
um,
would practice some of the dialogue that I wrote down just to see if it actually sounded natural, like saying it, like not something more stiff, robotic. That's just phrasing what is happening in one panel, just like
yeah,
trying to make it sound more the way people actually talk, and not the way it should sound.
yeah, yeah,
Think
yeah.
that's what I've tried paying attention to how people talk in movies. I hear that's common criticism that some might have, like, oh, the dialogue is just off, it doesn't sound natural. So
Oh,
I want for it to sound natural,
okay, okay.
actually sound like something that each character would say. Like, everybody has their own personality, so just to stick to um what what they do, like the in La Cucaracha, the two main characters, Cuco and Eddie. Eddie's more of um the everyman, and Cuco is more of a sarcastic and more more controversial character. So they would
Uh,
say things in a different way.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Now that you've gone through that, would you like to do a comic strip of your own, or are you thinking of like a graphic novel maybe and stuff, or
I would like to, yes. As I mentioned before, in the is that right now, I think that the main thing that's going through my life right now is just being a dad.
yeah,
So
yeah,
it's now that I have a little more free time, it's I feel like, oh, well, what am I going to do with that free time? Like, I don't have to think about it much. I know that it's going to go to me being a dad.
yeah,
And I think I mentioned before that I'm also I work in a school.
yeah.
So it's well, as a not as a teacher, as an admin.
Oh, okay.
administration. So it's I have so whatever time I have left over, I dedicate it to my daughter.
Yeah.
And yeah, I still think that I would I would love to go back to do cartoon work, comic strip or graphic novel,
Yeah.
and I think I'm just gonna wait for the summer and just plan right now. That's plan what is it I want to do. Maybe start writing when I have some time off, and actually sit down behind the desk like during the summer when I have some time. But I also feel that I don't know if I'll my next comic strip. I'm not too sure if I want to make it political.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah.
One of the and just in the last couple of years, I just also seen communities, families just become so divided over politics
Yeah.
that it
Yeah.
just kind of it turned me off from the idea of doing too much politics.
That's okay.
Yeah.
I know with me, um, I do political cartoons, but I also do fine art. And my
Oh
fine
yeah.
art, there's no politics in my fine art. I try to
Yeah.
divide because if I focus on politics all the time and stuff, I don't think that's good for my mental health. Because
Yeah.
I suffer, I gone through the same stuff you have, is that I've lost friendships due to, I'm my politics, I'm pretty liberal, but I used to have very close conservative friends and stuff. And
Right.
the loss of those friendships hurt. I don't know if that's what you're talking about, but you
I
know, is that
uh,
similar or
um no, this is a good thing. I can't say that I've lost too many friendships, but just hearing it from you, it's refreshing to hear people say like, yeah, I have friends from from different political backgrounds and we're friends.
oh
I
yeah,
just
yeah.
don't feel like I hear that much anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I struggle with that and stuff
Mhm.
sometimes. 20 years ago, I used to, the politics didn't get in the way of the friendship and stuff.
Okay.
Nowadays, sometimes depend. So I'm a lot more careful now. I'm a political, and I'm proud of my political cartoons, but I
Yeah.
don't actually show my political cartoons to too many people. One because it's mostly about Filipino American politics and what's
Mm.
happening in the Philippines, but also, um, there's a part of me that likes to laugh, and I do that for my fine arts.
Mhm.
I like to be political, but not all the time. But
Yeah.
I think yeah, I think it's I don't um, all of us are right some of the time, and all of us are wrong some of the time. So if you can't help but get to know some conservatives are nice people, and some of them are not.
Yes.
Some progressive people are nice people, and some of them are not. It has nothing to do with politics. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
So if you only judge somebody based solely on their politics, without knowing them as a person, I think that's wrong and stuff. So
Yeah,
yeah.
very much
So but
so.
yeah. Oh, okay. So you know, you know, Sophia is important. Your wife's important. That's the most important thing right now. And if so that it's you're prioritizing right and stuff. You know.
Thank you.
So yeah, don't worry about it. Just get some sleep. you know, yeah. But okay, next question. I did research for you online, before we just talk, just so that I can get questions. And I found out that you did artwork for a utility box in Barrio Logan and
Yeah.
stuff. Is that right? Yeah,
Yeah.
I did some artwork for utility box in San Jose, and I loved the experience. How was that experience for you, painting a artwork for a utility box?
Oh, it was so good.
Yeah,
I maybe that's one of those things that I wouldn't mind like doing again. Uh, this was an utility box in Barrio Logan, so I thought what people have done in Chicano Park, located in Barrio Logan, it's what uh, our ancestors have been doing for a very long time, which is to use walls and have them depict uh, mythology, history,
yeah,
why it and it doesn't have to include dialogue, but it just has to be and it just have to be visual for other
yeah,
people to see. And maybe even if even if people are not quite informed of all the historical background in a mural, I think just being able to look at it, appreciate it, take some time to contemplate, admire it is already that's already a very effective mural. Well, in
Yeah.
my case, utility box. So I chose to represent the a scene from Aztec mythology about the creation of people, and I
Yeah.
wanted to put my own humorous twist on it as well. Um, I wasn't too. I was a little. I was a little doubtful once it was done because it was right next to other utility boxes that are very colorful, and mine would stand out because it was just black and white.
Yeah.
I think even my friend who helped me secure the utility box was telling me, "Hey, if you want to go back and put some color in it, you can do that."
Yeah.
But then as time went by, I noticed how many people were bringing that up to me, like, "Hey, you painted a utility box, and it's really cool. And here, let me send you a picture, or can I share it?"
Yeah.
And so I thought, well, I guess it doesn't need color after all. Just black and white itself is still
Oh, yeah.
standing.
Yeah.
And till this day, I've still gotten emails about it. And just like with you, being here talking with you, it's been one of those experiences where I I'm very grateful for the recognition it has obtained.
Oh, have you thought of doing more? I mean, are there other opportunities or?
I would like to do more. I One of the opportunities I have well right now is there's a brewery in Barrio Logan that was where I had one of my first murals. I painted the walls inside of the brewery. They expanded a little bit. They expanded the brewery not long ago, and there's been talks about me just filling up the walls in the expansion room.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. That'd be. Good luck on good luck on that and stuff. Yeah. I'm curious. Um, when I did my utility box, it was in the summer, and
Yes.
I love doing it and stuff, but it was hot. I
Mm.
had to drink a lot of water, and after I drank a lot of water, I always had to use the bathroom and stuff. Was it windy or was it hot? I mean,
No, it was it wasn't hot. It was a bit overcast, but it didn't rain.
oh,
So
okay.
and it
Oh,
didn't rain. Is and I think it was during one of those uh community days where all the restaurants, the
oh,
coffee shops, art galleries are open, so they invite a lot of people from outside the community to come around, explore. Like it's a good day for vendors and
yeah, yeah,
it's, so there was a lot of foot traffic around all the artists that were painting utility boxes, a lot of people
yeah.
coming in and asking questions or just standing and just looking at the process of painting a utility box.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's cool. I'm glad you enjoyed the experience. That was
Right?
fun and stuff. If you can get another one, that'd be great and stuff.
Oh
So,
yeah.
yeah. So, okay. Let me ask you the last question and stuff.
Yes.
Now you've had some extensive experience cartooning. What do you love about it?
I love being able to get lost in my thoughts, in my in creativity, and uh, even if it even if those ideas are just like more vague, unclear, just being able to flesh them out, be that by writing uh, or by actually putting pen onto paper and illustrating it. It's it's like yeah, like fleshing out all those ideas and making them real. I
Yeah.
think it was I don't know if it was a discussion between it was a discussion between two Renaissance artists to say like they were debating which is the most more the supreme visual art style. Was it painting or was it sculpture?
Yeah.
But that was the discussion, like which one is actually the closest to bringing something to life.
Yeah.
I think whether sculpture or painting, it doesn't matter. The important thing is actually fleshing out those ideas, whether that
Yeah.
be a painting, a cartoon, or sculpture. And that's, I don't want to compare myself to Renaissance artists, but the idea is still there, just fleshing out ideas and bring your ideas to life.
Yeah, yeah. I never compare myself to Leonardo or Michelangelo.
And I can't say that. I can also say that. Like, what was I trying to say? I can't say that. Although that creative process is uh it's great. Speaking as somebody that was like as a student, I found myself most of the times just sketching on paper than actually taking notes in
Yeah,
class. But and well, you think at that moment like, man, this is fun, and I wish this could just be I could spend I can have a job where I do this all the time. I will have to clarify for young artists is that that process isn't always as fun. It's very, very challenging
yeah,
for many reasons. Sometimes you're really short on ideas, you're really short on time.
yeah,
Um, and it's not always easy. It can be challenging, or just sometimes you just don't feel like you want to sit down and draw. The first time somebody told me that, like, hey, if you need a break from drawing, just feel free to do so. And I thought, well, that's crazy. Drawing is what it gives me purpose and it helps me relax. So why would I need a day off from drawing? But it's happened.
yeah,
So sometimes the creative process is not always easy,
yeah,
but it's um it's still what I enjoy doing. It's still one of the things that gives me purpose, and that even with all the challenges it may have, I still enjoy it very much.
yeah, yeah. And you don't, I'm in my 50s, but it took me a long time. In my 20s and 30s, I kind of thought, gosh, I wasn't doing that much art and stuff, but I worked in the library to pay the rent and stuff. But in my later years, I found the time. When I got to my 40s and stuff. So I
Yeah.
think in life, you're going to be spending time with your you know with your watching your daughter grow and being with your wife. That's the most important thing right now and stuff.
Yes.
But there are other things. I always think in life, um, um, the things that you love, they're not just one thing. There's many things. You love your art, you love your daughter, you love your wife, you love your parents, all of that stuff. That they all compete for your time, right? But that doesn't mean you give up on the things you love. It's just at some times in your life, you know, the one thing that you love takes precedence over the other things. But then, as you get older, you may have time to do the other thing. You can focus on the other things you love when the situation changes and stuff. So, but no, no, no. Especially now that I've seen your daughter and you have a lovely wife and stuff. It's good that you care for them now and stuff. But at some point later in the future, when you have the time, you can always go back to doing comics and stuff. I'm an old geezer and stuff, and I still do it. Yeah. So, okay. So, do you have anything to add before we finish this talk?
Just like I've said, I'm very, very grateful for this opportunity to talk to you. You pointed out that we haven't really we haven't seen each other in years. You really left an impression on me when we met in Sacramento.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So, and just being able to talk with you about an experience of a cartoonist. Other than Lalo, I can't say that I've spoken to a lot of cartoonists about what it's like, living this life. So I am very grateful to you for many, many, many reasons.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that actually.
It was amazing. I had a lot of fun, and it's just thank you so much. Thank
Oh,
you very, very much.
yeah, yeah. I think before I go, I just want to let you know you're very. I interviewed you a long time ago for a blog and stuff.
Yeah,
I think, and the reason I did was because you're a good cartoonist and you have a lot of talent and stuff. So, but like with me and stuff, you know, um, you know, it took me a while to get going with my art and stuff. There was times when I didn't have time to do my art because there were other things I needed to do in my life. But
yeah,
I don't regret that because those were other things that I loved that were just so like right now my mom passed away 2 years
so
ago, and then my father-in-law passed away in January. So now I'm spending a lot more time caregiving for my dad and my mother-in-law.
yeah.
And I do it because I love them. So I don't have as much time to do my cartoons and stuff.
Mhm.
But but that doesn't mean like I don't whenever I have free time I do it and stuff. But it's not this but I still get sleep. It's and stuff. So I guess thank you very much for it's actually my honor to talk to you and stuff too and stuff because you're a good cartoonist. But I just get a good coffee that'll keep you awake, and stuff. So, but thank you very much, and thank your family. Thank your family too for giving you the time to talk to me.
Of course.